go back. There we go, brilliant. So yeah, just talk about a few things. So fasting, OMAD, and Sandow light exercises. Borax. So I think like most people, let's first get into fasting. There's different, I know everyone knows about different types of fasting. There's also different types of feasting and eating. So I think if we blur the two together, we can get a problem. Now, some people fast to feast, and feasting in essence, you're doing a massive refeed. So if you run down, tired, you might have fasted because you weren't very well, and you wanted to cleanse your system of a bug or a virus, fight it off, and then your appetite comes back, and the appetite comes back because your body says, hey look, we want to restock. And so at that point you might eat quite a large meal. There's other sorts of recovery eating, possibly when you're doing a lot of exercise. I mean, you'd also do recovery drinking as well. There was like a liquid binging, I guess, or where you might drink loads and loads of fluid because you're dehydrated. So there's different types of things people do, and some of it you do instinctively. I know animals do it, like dogs. If they go out and they're really hot and tired, they drink loads. They just drink fluid. But it may be that they change their window, so there won't be, if you're hot and tired, you might first rehydrate, and then you'll move into eating, which is the same as a breaking fast, to be honest. They say you'll take it slowly and stuff, but really what people are doing is they're eating more wetter, easy to digest food before they move on to anything solid, because they might not have enough lubrication in their stomachs, like the bile production and other things, because they may have run down and just sort of switched off for a bit, and their stomach acid and so on. So by having fluids in there that you can just slowly break in, and then you can put in things that maybe they line the stomach and do other things, like yogurt. Yogurt's a good one, some milks and other things can do that. Maybe peppermint as in a drink, and stuff like that. So it's fine. So there's, like I say, different types of fasting. Fasting really is the controlled area of non-eating. So if you say, I'm not going to eat at this time to that time, that's the fasting part of it, and the eating part of it, the breaking of the fast, the consumption part of it. If it's in the other side of the window, and how much you eat depends. So which you could probably say is the feasting and the fasting. That's what's happening. And depending on how much you eat is what you do. Now, some people have got intermittent feasting because they're not actually hardly entering a fast. In a fast, you really need to go beyond the 8 hours. You need to get really into. Most people might say, well, 12 hours is probably the minimum, and it's not really a fast. So you have also people that do little and often, but they high protein, high nutritious food. So I would say they're kind of micro feasting, and that little and often, because they're eating often, but not eating loads, so they just spread it all out. And it may work for somebody who's got digestion issues, but often the body's geared towards only eating so many times a day. Because we just look at the way other animals and other beings cope, and the hunting and gathering, because otherwise you would just be too hungry. But if you enter into that kind of structure, this becomes your habit, this becomes your lifestyle. So you have to be, every 2 or 3 hours you're eating something. And then you get the other people that are, when people talk about starvation, so they're creating fasting and forms of starvation, so they're intermittent starving themselves, and that could be because they're having food, they're not just in calorie deficit, they're eating food that has low nutrition and quality in it. It could be that some people might have a sort of weird sort of high carb starvation because they're not getting enough nutrients. Nutrient deficient maybe would be a better use of words. It could be because they've got habits. Some things suppress you to eat, like smoking. Some people have said, use that as a diet. It keeps my weight down, smoking. And it could be actually because it could be damaging your ability to absorb food. It's a suppressant. but then equally you get that with other habits, drinking and so on, high calorie intake from the alcohol, but low protein and everything else, and then they're sleeping large chunks of the day to recover, and dehydrated, and their liver's less processed and less, and I think it's anaesthetic qualities as well. There's other things to take into consideration. So people's diets are very different as well, and the question about fasting, it depends what your natural diet is. If you're say you're vegetarian or vegan and you eat certain foods, it could be that 8 hours of not eating is fasting, because what you ate before, it wasn't high in anything really. It was had nutritious, maybe it had vitamins in it, but it might have lacked carbohydrates or energy in it, so your body's fairly low on it. But then if you had a high fat diet, you might have a different yield altogether, so you definitely have to go beyond 12 hours to say that you're fasting, because the energy's slow digesting and it's still being processed for your body. I mean, some food is deliberately hard to digest, and some food your body might just take longer digesting it anyway. If it's more denser, they usually once they crush it down a bit, depends how much you chew your food up as well. I mean, if you're eating chunks. I mean, I heard there was once a woman and she had an operation to remove a potato, but I thought, how the hell would you swallow a whole potato? And it got stuck in her stomach. It's because she must have been hungry or whatever, but the starch, so there's the other thing to be aware of potatoes, processing them. I got some potato salad and I thought, God, that game cleared me out. That's because it was more roughage than it was a starch that I available starch to myself, to my biology. So what I did with the potato salad is I just simply popped it in the microwave to cook it up a bit and break down the starch protein. So that's always useful. Certain foods, you can just blast them a bit of radiation. So for myself, I think I'm doing okay with my fasting, and I'm also, phase 2 of the operation is that you want to do a sculpting, and so you need to do some forms of natural exercise. There we go. And I mean, the new approach to that is I'm looking at the Sandow method, and it does work actually. I think it's effective. I did some weights the first time, and I had a cold bath, and I went to bed, and I woke up, and my arms were aching. I thought, oh my goodness. So that's sort of another area to look at, is inflammation that you cause and beneficial ones, because people do weights to inflame their arms, don't they? They tear tissue, want stronger arms, but they naturally like it inflamed, because they think, here we go, I've done enough work. And that would be the lactic acid build up in the muscles and other things that go on during your body's repair process. And that might come back to what I mentioned about doing sort of feasting because you're trying to repair your muscle. It may be that you actually fancy eating a lot of meat when you've injured your muscles, because you might get after the creatine and other things. Because not everything's available outside of your body. You might have to be produced by your body. It depends how effective it is. So Sandow, I'm just using light weights. I mean, I've got to look at his books and do a bit of research on it. But the lightweight methods does seem better. I think it's something that's often abused, that you might, with weights, is that people tend to go to bulk building and heavier weights. And I think heavy weights will get into the sort of the smaller tissue as well, bring in more muscle groups. But the issue they might want to do is just actually light weights and increase the reps, and then build up from the core, because once you damage something at the core, it can take a lot longer to heal, and you might even be aware of what you've done to yourself. It's a bit like I do use my back quite a bit, and so I've got a tender area in my back, so light weights is a better method. And I think once you start triggering certain muscle repair, then you bring around a certain genesis around muscular development and repair. Oh, sorry. Anyways, big sign off. Have a great day as we just